Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by our number one news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nandumiso Vilagati alongside Izaman Zimanze, and here are your top stories. The Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says in 2021-2022 financial year, the country recorded an increase in both fatal and serious accidents by 19.5% and 25.2% respectively. The Minister of Economic Planning and Development, Dr. Tambo Gina, says growth forecasts for the outer years are expected to reach 2.6% and 3.7% in 2023 and 2024 respectively. The Minister for Finance, Neil Reichenberg, says the revival of factory trials by government is still government's plan of creating job opportunities for Eswatini. The news. The Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini says in 2021-2022 financial year, the country recorded an increase in both fatal and serious accidents by 19.5% and 25.2% respectively. The Prime Minister has been speaking in Parliament when presenting his office's annual performance report for the financial year 2021-2022 before the Portfolio Committee in the House of Assembly.
On Friday, the Prime Minister's office had a meeting with the Prime Minister's Office Portfolio Committee in the House of Assembly, where the Prime Minister Cleopas Dlamini presented before the committee the office's annual performance report. The Prime Minister also motivated for the budget allocation for the 2022-2023 financial year. When delivering his preamble, the Prime Minister said the country recorded an increase in fatal accidents by 19.5% in the 2021-2022 financial year.
Through the Eswatini Global Fund country coordinated mechanism, mobilization of resources from the Global Fund to fight HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis continued with vitality. In the crime prevention and detection sphere, the police service continued to be robust in ensuring that crime menace is brought under control, and evidence of their effort is that statistics of overall volume of crime showcase a decrease of 11.2%. This bulk decrease notwithstanding, prioritized crimes such as murders, attempted murders, sexual and gender-based violence, housebreaking and theft, robberies, and theft of copper wire all reflected an increase of 32.1% when compared with the parallel period in the previous year. On the road traffic policing arena, this reporting period saw an increase in both fatal and serious accidents by 19.5% and 25.2% respectively. The reflected percentage margin in fatal accidents is made up of 186 deaths, which include 52 drivers, 57 passengers, 74 pedestrians, and 3 bikers. The police service, as a sub-revenue collector for government, has managed to collect a total of 15,931,526 emalangeni as at 31st January 2022. In respect of judicial fines, sundry fees, firearm licenses, and traffic fines.
Other members of the committee commended the Prime Minister's report and posed questions and recommendations.
So now 14 years every year Parliament kubuya oil paint. Angathi lokuthi kahle kahle kucleana la Parliament kusho ukuthi lokubhoqala olubonakala oil paint yini ngoba ukhanda ukuthi kuningi lokukhona lokushodako lokuzibalungiswa kodwa nje kulungiswa lolubonza nathi atulo nje nathi ude losathi khanuka kude nalokucabanga kokuthi ngase kondiwe isitulo lesingcono lesingahlali umuntu kuhlaleke.
Nangibuka emaphoyiseni chairperson sengayikhuluma le ndzaba lena, I think it was 2019-2020. Bengacela chairperson through you ukuthi manje umhlonishwa ndinankulu asesihlaleni phansi. We've got a big challenge. The lead forensic lab. It's time to move forward. It's time we move upstream. Nema cases dahleli lamanye akakhona ukutekeka because lama lab lesinawo lakangwane mancane akusiyona lab. Lama sample esiwatholako lesiwathathako lesiwamixe kulamanye amazwe njengabo South Africa. It takes time.
Uhulumende ngalana ukhuluma ngathi phela ngendzaba i-government. I-parliament yona yabe seseyishona. Chairperson uyayithinta indzaba yema-gadget. Mawubuka la mndu kwethu kunanambhukutho longaka angathi ukuthi malini imali lespendiwe kuprinta all these booklets. Angathi ukuthi malini lespendiwe.
On his preamble, the Prime Minister also highlighted that in the 2021-2022 financial year, there were 27 pending bills, and out of those, only 13 were passed. And by the time of compiling this report, the committee was still debating the performance report. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkel Swekoza with Muslim Konta, Parliament.
The Minister of Economic Planning and Development, Dr. Tambo Gina, says growth focus for the outer years are expected to reach 2.6% and 3.7% in 2023 and 2024, respectively. The minister said this when requesting the Portfolio Committee in the House of Assembly to approve the ministry's budget, 2022-2023 budget.
On Thursday, the Minister of Economic Planning and Development met with the Ministry's Portfolio Committee in the House of Assembly to review the Ministry's 2021-2022 performance report and present the 2022-2023 budget estimate. The Minister of Economic Planning and Development, Dr. Tambo Gina, during his preamble, highlighted that the country's domestic economic growth forecast for the outer years are expected to reach 2.6% and 3.7% in 2023 and 2024, respectively.
The domestic economic activity reflects significant resurgence, significant improvement in 2021, following the 1.9% contraction experienced in 2020. As we know, that was at the back of the COVID-19 outbreak. Even though we can't say everything is okay now, we're not yet out of the woods, we can say the domestic economy is forecasted to have grown by 5.9% in 2021. Honorable Chairperson, on the global front, which is Eswatini's export destination market, developments also depicted resurgence in the economic output of most economies. Global output is estimated to have rebounded by 5.9%.
Some members of the Portfolio Committee commented on the ministry's performance.
Induna yethu Chairperson angiyazi thina manje le portfolio siyithanda kakhulu le portfolio esikhathini esiningi siyahlupha ngayo sishaye ukuthi awenduna ingakuphi Chairperson sifunela induna awu Chairman asifunela induna angayitholi
ngawubuya la ku macro angathi macro sebakhulumile kakhulu yasebenza le department iyabonakala la isebenza khona uyabonakala naleti mali ingena khona diphelela khona lapho kune supervision lekhona iyabonakala le supervision.
The minister on his preamble also highlighted that in the 2021-2022 financial year, 1.02 billion emalangeni of the total budget allocation of 1.45 billion emalangeni has been released, whereas at the time of compiling this report, the committee was still discussing the budget. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkel Swekoza with Vumiko Sinsinisa, Parliament.
The Minister of Education, Lady Howard, has received the last and final scholarship donation worth $220,000 equivalent to 3.8 million from the Republic of China, Taiwan to Eswatini College of Technology students under the TVET program. Completing their promise, the minister received the donation in Mbabane and urged girls to partake in the skills program.
In 2019, the government of the Republic of China on Taiwan donated scholarships amounting to 9,240,000 Malangeni, which was equivalent to 3,800,000 Malangeni per year for 3 years, starting in the year 2019 to 2021, to support a total of 100 needy students at the Eswatini College of Technology who are under the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Enhancement Project, TVET. The scholarship is meant to open access towards training of female students in male-dominated programs. The government of the Republic of China and Taiwan has donated the last and final scholarship to the beneficiaries at the Eswatini College of Technology. Speaking when receiving the scholarship, the Minister of Education, Lady Howard, encouraged girls to partake in skills subject and increase women enrollment in TVET.
Today, TVET is regarded as an instrument in creating new employment opportunities and income-generating activities in the formal and non-formal sectors of the economy. TVET can play an important role in economic development and poverty reduction if due attention is given to customizing or targeting education and training provision to local needs. Upon graduating, I implore the graduates to form small companies to enable them to access funding to start up their own businesses.
The ambassador of Taiwan to Eswatini, Jeremy Liang, says the project is important because it equips the younger generations to help realize the national development strategy. The Eswatini College of Technology Principal Namcebon Hlangaifa says 81% of the beneficiaries are females and 19% are males, and they will not be expected to pay back the scholarship because it was given as a free gift. This now totals to $660,000 in total, completing their promise. For Eswatini TV News, MKNMCB, Mbabane.
The Minister for Finance, Roy Kenbeck, says a lot needs to be done in fixing the foundation of micro-business in Eswatini. The minister says investors always take note of the sustainability of the country when they want to invest. Roy Kenbeck was speaking during the 2022 budget seminar held at Sibane Hotel.
During the 2022 post-budget seminar by the Central Bank of Eswatini and Economics Association of Eswatini, relevant stakeholders had a chance to look into the 2022 budget. The president of ICASA, Professor Mike Matebula, says government needs to consider using evidence-based policies.
We have to take all of these moving parts together and come up with an evidence-based policy suggestion which we will convey to the relevant people, stakeholders.
The Minister for Finance, Neil Reckenbeck, says the country needs to fix the issue of micro-businesses as they play a major role in investments.
Unless we get the macros right, as a country, we've got a lot to do. Really, there is one can criticize government for a very long time. I can criticize government for a long time myself. Even there's many different things. You look at our maintenance is lacking. Whatever. Look at the amount of cars at CTA that need to be sold on auction. We can talk for days on all the different things that need to be fixed. But honestly, unless we fix the macros, and that's why I'm speaking to this room, because this room understands fixing these macros and getting, unless we fix the macros and get the foundation right of our economy, whatever we're doing, fixing of the roads and everything else, is really just patching on in fact, it's trying to patch a house that is just not on a good foundation. And hence, I really believe that with what we have done, we've really managed to deal with all of these major issues that have been exposed by the IMF with these Article 4s. There are a lot of small ones which we are still dealing with, and like I said, we can talk for a long time on those. And areas where government's failing, by me saying that we've had a certain amount of success here, I'm no means saying, oh, that means government is succeeding at this point, government is doing well. Many areas, especially on service delivery, there's a lot of room for improvement to get this right.
The Central Bank of Eswatini Deputy Governor Felicia Dlamini Gunene says the recommendations will inform a future national budget.
Thank you for your astute scrutiny of the budget. Discussants noted and appreciated the dilemma the Honorable Minister faces when formulating the budget amid resource constraints.
The Minister for Finance stated that projections shows that in 2023-2024, the country might receive 8.7 billion emalangeni from SACU receipts. Reckenberg says there is a great need of ensuring that the receipts are stabilized. The minister says a SACU stabilization fund is needed. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni in Ezulwini.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Thuli Dladla, has received 5 executive cards from the government of South Korea. Minister Dladla says the gifts are as a result of the friendship between the two countries. The presentation was made by Councillor Jayeli on behalf of the South Korea ambassador to Mozambique.
The government of South Korea has donated 5 executive cars to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation in Eswatini to assist the ministry in its executive duties. According to the representative of the South Korea ambassador to Mozambique, Eng Jing Lee reiterated South Korea's support to the Kingdom of Eswatini.
5 protocol vehicles to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. These vehicles are from Hyundai, a leading Korean car manufacturer, whose vehicles are sought after all around the globe. I personally drive a Hyundai in Korea, and I know as a fact that these vehicles will be of outstanding quality. I envy those who will be driving and will be driving these cars in Babene. It is the sincere hope of my country that these vehicles provided today will be of help to the Honorable Kingdom of Eswatini and its people. I would also like to take this opportunity to reiterate Korea's continued friendship and support to the Kingdom of Eswatini. On behalf of my government, I would like to again thank the Kingdom of Eswatini for its continued support and friendship during all these years, despite the distance that lay between our capitals.
The Minister for Foreign Affairs in Eswatini, Thuli Dladla, says South Korean government has assisted in education, health, and infrastructure sectors.
It is with a profound sense of fraternity, humility, and great appreciation that I receive, on behalf of Their Majesties, the government, and the entire nation of the Kingdom of Eswatini, this generous donation of 5 executive vehicles for use by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. Thank you so much, our friends and partners. Councillor, South Korea remains our committed and consistent cooperation partner, working hand in hand with the people of the Kingdom of Eswatini throughout our long-standing bilateral and diplomatic partnership dating back to when Eswatini realized her independence in 1968 to achieve the nation's socio-economic ambitions in the areas of education, healthcare, and infrastructure.
The chairperson of the Foreign Affairs Portfolio Committee, Sibusiso Nxumalo, says the vehicles came at a time where the ministry really needed them. Minister Dladla says there are 90 South Koreans in Eswatini who lives in harmony with the Maswati. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni in Babane.
The Minister for Finance, Nene Reichenberg, says the revival of factory trials by government is still government's plan of creating job opportunities for Emaswati. The minister was speaking when different stakeholders were presenting their thoughts on the national budget during the post-budget seminar.
The post-budget seminar for 2022-2023 national budget provided an opportunity for relevant stakeholders to present their thoughts on the budget.
The government needs to consider issues of access to the land that you are actually mentioning here. The big question is, how easy is it to have without them taking or making a young person jump the hoops, either because they are too young or they are not married, or for whatever reason that makes them not to make the cut. We appreciate commitment to improve procurement of drugs and other initiatives aimed at improving the health sector. I think the health sector, good people, is currently in dire straits.
Areas that government owes internally in the country to suppliers, companies, private sector. They were running in billions. And honestly, more demanding responsibilities, but yes, brought it down to manageable levels. I think you will all recall that there was an attempt from the government to borrow some billions just to finance the areas. That didn't succeed because the loans, they were crazy loans. As those loans were not genuine. They were looking at taking some gold from us. So he did that and basically said, look, we'll do it internally.
The Minister for Finance, Neil Reckenbeck, says young people are encouraged to use available resources to better themselves.
We're encouraging the youth. You know, if a youth speaks to the homestead that he's at and says, can I please use the unused land? Obviously, we're encouraging to say, what can we do as a country to try to improve that, get that better? Problem to health. One needs to understand that last year's budget on health had a huge a COVID element to it, which we do not have this year. Last year, we had 200 million for vaccines. This year, we got 0 for vaccines because we're still coming forward, and the vaccines that we have can still last us, is what the Ministry of Health is saying. Hope to be able to sit around the table in a dialogue. Again, the nice thing about Sibaya is everybody is, every Eswati is welcome to be able to come and say. And
the minister also highlighted that the country receives advice from IMF to reduce over budget to the CTA and Palala Fund. Reckenbeck says government took a decision to shut down trading account of the CTA. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni in Ezulwini.
Dear viewers, and now take a look at our financial updates.
Standard Bank. It can be.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV, and for your sports news tonight, Minister for Sports Harris Bulunga says requirements by FIFA and CAF are the ones that have put the country in the position that the nation is in of not being able to host international competitions. Minister Bulunga says part of the requirements do change now and then, and the country has to keep up with those requirements. Minister Bulunga was speaking in Parliament when presenting the ministry's report of activities for the year 2021-2022 to the Portfolio Committee of the ministry.
The Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, preambled the ministry's annual performance report for the year 2021-2022 to the Portfolio Committee of the ministry in Parliament. The highlight of the report was the issue of the National Stadium, Somhlolo, which was allocated 15 million emanangeni for the rehabilitation. Members of the Portfolio Committee wanted to find out from the ministry how is the progress of the stadium and when will it be ready for use. The members also asked the minister to explain if the country cannot be able to build a new stadium that is at FIFA and CAF standard.
Lenzaba yasomhlolo minister kwecala nje mathi senkhohlwe how many weeks bosithemse wona kuthi after 6 weeks itabe sey ready.
Yini la litiko lelingasentela kona ukuthi sibine sinaso stadium lesiphilayo la iveni.
After so many years, sithola inkululeko singemalunga FIFA, we're taking our games yodlalwa elsewhere. This should be an embarrassment, and someone should really take responsibility for this.
The Minister for Sports, Harris Bulunga, mentioned that the FIFA and CAF requirements have pushed the country to be in a position of not having a stadium for the international competitions at the moment. The minister, however, says few other logistics have delayed the return of the Somplo National Stadium.
Ngibekise nje nayi i-team yethu yala Royal Leopards nayisadlala lama preliminary stages ala ikhona khona ku-Africa Cup. They played emavuso, they allowed to play emavuso. But they never qualify ukuthi nyaloke seyilama group stages sekusele 8 teams. Sekuqhamuka i-correspondence ukuthi for this stage leseyikiso leli ground asaqualify. Then uyatibuta ukuthi yini umehluko wegame ledlalwe a month ago in the same stadium. Lo section nje ligama nje usesingama group stages, then the requirements change. But look delay le bahlonisha ngilofika kwale turf ne synthetic track kuthethe 4 to 5 months to ship it from overseas la qhamuka khona kuze kutofika kaSomhlolo, but kuku process kuya-installwa kutawuphela in the next week or so. Ngiloko lengingakubika ngaSomhlolo. But akusilo kokugcina le list iyinze kusafuna sifake elibonza emalanga ahamba a security wall lenema turnstiles lawa latibalelako ukuthi nangena nje ngihloma ithicket lami kulo mshini ungibale ukuthi sengingenile 1 nasi 1000 tawusho lo mshini ukuthi la ngekhathi sekuna 1000 bani ngilokunye lokufuna ngiFIFA and le list ishintsha bathe baqhamukisa nje sibone sebabhalile iFootball Association ukuthi stadiums lesitawudlala ema-international games sekufuna sibe nanawo.
The portfolio committee then proceeded to approve the 2022-2023 budget of the ministry, which is over 51 million emalangeni. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Parliament.
Eswatini Television's Authority Acting Chief Executive Officer Kenneth Mazia says securing Premier League games highlights is one way of keeping up with government's initiative of prioritizing local content. Mazia mentioned this when signing a one-year deal with Premier League of Eswatini to get Premier League football highlights rights in Babane.
Eswatini Television Authority, together with the Premier League of Eswatini, signed a one-year agreement that will see Eswatini Television being able to package football highlights of the Premier League season 2021-2022. Eswatini Television Acting Chief Executive Officer Kenneth Mazia says signing this agreement is one way of ensuring that they remain in line with government's initiative of prioritizing local content.
I think this partnership will help us a lot in terms of promoting local content, which we believe that the football forms also part of the local content that was supposed to produce as Eswatini Television Authority, as one mandated by government. Lokunye lesikakusho Mr. Kamakel, Eswatini Television Authority, we have other challenges what you want in Premier League in terms of finances, but sibonga ukuthi angakubuki lokho ngibukele ukuthi the nation itawati ukubenefita through lama clips and lama highlights that done so capture as Eswatini TV.
Premier League of Eswatini Chairman Mark Carmichael says the agreement will mostly benefit teams since football has now become business.
Very polite business, but I see business, the sikabanga ukuthi ikhicita imali. Lokhu nje manje sesiyabambisana sinemaswati siyamaketha. We see a very bright future for the country. We see a bright future for our clubs. We see a bright future for our soccer players. Because once you are showing a clip, even for your CV, sekwaphela nje ukuthi badlali bathuma sithombe ukuthi hey ngimi lo isithombeni bafuna ukuveyisa njani ushaya njani empalini zuba njani gijima kangakanani.
The agreement covers the entire Premier League season that began back in November. The highlights will be aired every Tuesday from 1:30 in the afternoon and on Wednesday at 9 p.m. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera with Patricia Msibi, Babane.
That brings us to the end of our news bulletin tonight. Up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. Good night, Eswatini.